Okay, so we have our reference footage. The next thing I want to do is actually start doing some groundwork, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that up there and we're going to use that as a guide. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of setup first. So make sure we're still in object mode. I'm going to hit Shift A. We're going to go to grease pencil. We're going to do a blank. Let's rename this one ground. It's literally just going to be the ground. So we'll go to this, go to draw mode. I'm going to switch over to the line and I am just going to draw a ground plane so that way I can see, where his feet are hitting. It's nothing really too fancy there. Let's go back into object mode. So that'll be our ground. Um, Next, let's do another one. And this will be the object that we're going to use to actually draw on. We're going to do a rough first. So we'll just do Shift A, grease pencil blank. Let's go ahead and rename this one rough. So this will be kind of our underdrawing, if you will, that we will work from. So I did make a mistake here. So I'm going to go back to ground and I need to make sure this is indeed on frame one. I keep doing that. Go also to rough and take this one and also make that on frame one. So make sure you're on frame one when you do those things. I always do this. Okay. So that looks good. All right. So what I want to do is look at my, we want to do action analysis. That's what it's called. But basically, we want to look at the footage or our reference. In this case, it's going to be footage. And just make some mental notes about things and like how the movements are, where key positions are, things like that. So um, I'm going to break down this character more or less into three main areas. Okay, so the first main area is going to be the body mass, right? So he's kind of one large sausage. And then the other main areas are going to be the back legs and the front legs. And the reason why I'm doing it that way, in particular with the legs, is that you probably haven't done a quadruped. If you have, then you might already know this. But it's actually a little bit easier to treat them as two separate walk cycles and then combine them together. They obviously work together, but in a weird way, if you watch them individually, they kind of work separately as well. So I'm going to basically concentrate on different aspects of the character and kind of bring that all together because it'll make it a little bit easier um, to work with. Okay, so that being said, let's look at this. So if I'm just going to hit play, and if we watch this, you'll notice that more or less this sausage, right? It has up and down positions, and you'll notice that the shoulder area has an up and down, and this has an up and down, and more or less it's doing this teetering back and forth, right? So each have an up and down. It also is doing this squishing, so you can actually see right here because see all these wrinkles. So it's kind of squishing in between and then extending. Okay, so just to show that more slowly, if I look at my guy here, I can see the high point of his shoulders are here, and then the low point is roughly around 9, between 9 and 10, and then back up to the high point of his shoulders. And then if we look at the hips, the low point is frame 1, and then the high point is again around the 9-10. And then the low point is once again back at 19, which is good. And as far as the squashing and stretching, what you will see is that more or less it's squashing. I would say not. So it's a little bit here. So I would say its max stretch is probably at like 5, and its max squash is probably around 13. So you can see it's almost like in thirds as far as that's concerned. So those are the main things we really got to look at as far as that stuff's concerned. Um, and then the belly line and other things. The nice thing is it has this grid on here, so it makes it a little bit easier, and also they keep it straight and level, so that makes it a little bit simpler to work with. So that is some stuff we need to basically think about while we do our drawings here. So um, I'm going to use conceptual forms to more or less draw this out and then work from there. So inside, I'm going to go ahead and switch to draw mode. And inside of my rough here, we'll go down to the lines. I'm going to go ahead and rename this layer, and we're just going to call this body. And what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into different layers for each one of the elements just to make it a little bit easier to work with, more or less. Okay, so we'll call this one body. I'm also going to go to the material here, and let's just call this rough lines, so that way that's the material it's using, so I don't accidentally mess something up else later on. Okay, so we can use. Oh, I meant to hold Shift. I'm gonna hit back on the camera. Make sure you're in the camera here. I'm just gonna hold Shift and middle mouse button click, and we can basically start drawing. So on frame one, I'm going to picture this basically being kind of a sausage. And no offense, Mr. Piggy. I'm going to use my pencil here, and let me see, what does that line look like? That's fine. I'm going to make this a little bit weaker, in fact, because I don't want it. I want to be able to draw over top of it again and again without it uh, being too difficult to see. Okay. So up and down and a sausage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of gonna just draw these as spheres that are kind of moving up and down, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about in a little bit. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna draw the front sausage here, and I'm just gonna try and draw basically a perfect circle. Okay, so that looks fine, good. That'll be my high position. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to where the low position is, which we're gonna say is, because this goes what, to 19. So I guess we'll say it's going to be 10. So we'll go to 10. Let me zoom in here so I can see. I think 10 would be, yeah, 10 looks like the halfway position. So I'm gonna, oh, you know what we can do actually, because I want it to be the same. I'm just gonna go here, and I'm just gonna hit I, and we want to duplicate active keyframe. Okay, so that way it's the same on this one. So we're gonna go to 10, and I'm just gonna draw the low position of his shoulders, which is again just gonna be a sausage. So I'm not going to stay 100% accurate necessarily to what the reference is, because that doesn't quite matter as much to me. Okay, so if we look, we have a thing going up and down, nothing too crazy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on the back side. Okay, so this one I want to be more or less the opposite. So this should be the low position. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go, let's say, like this. I want it roughly the same as this, so we'll go like that, like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to basically draw another circle here for the back, okay? Like that. All right. Then we'll just go, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna copy this. So we're just to make the, again, I'm just gonna make things easier. So we're gonna edit mode. I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna do Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac, and then we'll just do Control V and we'll paste it there just so it's the same on both. Okay, now let's go the halfway between one. We'll go back into draw mode, and I'm going to draw the up position, which is more or less supposed to be about up here. And then I'm just going to look and about here. Okay, so we're just going to draw our circle like so. All right. And that looks like sausage. Okay. So if we were to watch this, looks like two bouncing balls. You can see actually I did a bad job here. It gained quite a bit of volume, which I did not want. So, uh, aim small, miss small. Try not to, if you notice a mistake, it's easier to fix it now than it will be later. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to lower my volume a little bit. Like so. Okay. It's a little better. Not perfect, but it'll work. Okay, so we got that. Now, if you recall, I was saying also there is the kind of halfway in between where it's the most stretched and the most squished. So squished is probably here, I would say. And stretched is probably the other one. So I'm going to do the squished one first. And more or less what we're going to do is we're going to put these halfway between, right? So we're just going to use our rule of halves, but I'm also going to go inwards. So I'm going to say, let's go, and I'm going to exaggerate this because it's really not, if you actually watch it, it's not actually squishing that much. So I'm going to go in and try to more or less squish these. So we're going to say this. So halfway between here and here, because this is basically the midpoint of the height. And then I'm going to go in a certain amount like this. Okay, like that. And then this is going to be kind of the same thing here. We're going to move this one in a certain amount. And then it's got to go about halfway between the two. Okay. You can see it's pretty exciting stuff. All right. All right. So that's our squished frame. All right, so you can kind of see what it's doing. Now I need to do my stretched frame. So we're going to put this at, so you can see this doesn't quite divide. I guess this one's a little bit tighter there. Where is it more stretched? Well, you see it's the same frame. Say, where do I think? Um, I guess we'll do it. We'll do it over here because this one's closer to that one. That'll give that more space. Okay. So now we're going to again go about halfway between. So about here. Okay. And then we want to move out. So we're going to go basically like this. And we're just doing something like that-ish. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Kind of come out and go. It's probably a little too far. Let's go like that. And we're going to go halfway between. It's got to go up a little bit higher. There we go. Pen doesn't always draw exactly where I think it's drawing. Okay. So now if I hit play, what you're going to see is this. And kind of what it looks like is just basically um, like just these kind of rolling things. But that is kind of what's happening here is it's going up and around, up and around. Okay. So we now have kind of the basis of what we need. So now what I want to do is kind of do our squash and stretch with this. So going to connect these basically. So we'll just go to our drawings we already have. And then I'm looking at this and I'm trying to think probably it's going to try and look at the belly. So it looks like when it squishes, okay. So I'm going to say here it's kind of halfway between. So we're just going to kind of do sort of something like this and something sort of like this. I'm actually going to turn off the onion skinning. So we'll do something sort of like that. Okay. And then I'm thinking here, it's actually going to, because it's stretched out. So we're going to actually have this go a little bit not so up. And then here, I'm going to actually have it kind of sag a little bit. Okay. And then here, oh, come on. Right. We'll go ahead and I'm going to, oh, I was slightly off apparently. There we go. Let's go. Yeah, there we go. Here, I'm going to have this be a little bit up and down like that because we're going to say that this is sort of driving it. And then this will be kind of something like that. Okay. And then we'll go here. And then this will be very arched because this is it kind of doing that. And then this, we're going to go kind of like this because it's again, it's going to be kind of squashed. And then this one's actually got to be the same as this one. So I think here, what did I do here? Yeah, so I think here I'm actually going to change this slightly and have this be more, let's just use the eraser real quick. Um, have this be more like this so that the front is leading a little bit more. And then we'll just have this go like that a little bit more. Nothing too crazy, but just to give it a little bit more of an interesting shape. Okay, and this has to be the same as the other one. So rather than trying to copy and paste the drawing, we can actually just go down here. I'm just going to click on the drawing here. I'm going to do Control C. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, Con Control C. We're going to, all right. I don't know. I think I must have hit a button. Hang on a second. Enter and it went away. So we're just going to grab this one. We're going to hit Control C. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to hit Control V. And then we'll do that again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. So let's do it again. Control C. And over here, Control V. Control V. I don't know why I can get it to do it and then other times less so. So Control C. Control V. V. Weird. Okay. Let's just do this. I'm gonna delete that drawing. Delete that drawing. Just take this one. Control C. Control C. Control V. Weird. Okay. Control C, Control V. There it goes. Okay. All right. So now if we hit play, you can kind of see our sausage shape sort of working its way through, right? So you see we've kind of already have done the body here. And so that's not a terrible start. Obviously, it's more exaggerated than what you see up there, but this is animation. The whole point is to kind of caricature it. But you can see I just broke it down to basically simple sort of shapes. Um, and then we can use that to inform our next steps. But we now have the body basically. Actually, well, we have the body more complete, we'll say, at this point.